Hi, everyone. Welcome to Axios House. I'm Erica Pandey. I'm a senior reporter at Axios, and I want to welcome you to our event on steering AI towards a safer, brighter future. I have a couple notes here that I want to get through. We just announced the other week that our annual AI Plus Summit will be in 3 cities this year. So we'll be in New York on June 4th, in DC on September 16th, and San Francisco on December 4th. So make sure to sign up for that if you're in town for lots more conversations on AI. If you're following along on social media, make sure you use the hashtag Axios House. This afternoon, we'll be speaking with top leaders in the government space and companies on what the policy and business and societal shifts we need for a safer, brighter AI future. And without further ado, my first guest hails from the Hill. He is working on AI regulation. He's working on AI innovation in government. Please welcome from the great state of South Dakota, Senator Mike Rounds. So, Senator Rounds, you are one of the Senate's premier experts on artificial intelligence.
I am really working hard at trying to graduate from the 3rd grade in this stuff, so it's...
How did you, what made you want to do that? What made you want to try and go to the 3rd grade for this stuff?
It was not intended. Look, I was on the Armed Services Committee, and John McCain was the chairman back in 2017. And he wanted to create a cyber subcommittee. And I thought, you know what, that'd be kind of neat to get in and kind of see how that works. And so I told him, I said, I'd kind of like to be on that committee. And he says, well, it's good that you want to be on it because you're going to chair it. And so we kind of got in and started learning from the ground up what cyber operations were going on at the federal level in terms of offensive and defensive capabilities with the Department of Defense and with the whole of government and then the whole of country with regard to the cyber attacks that are occurring all the time, but looking at it through the lens of the Armed Services Committee. And from there, it became apparent rather quickly that AI was a critical part of how we defend our country. And as we got deeper into it, it was like bringing in folks to talk about AI in the cyber operations, but they would also talk about AI in our other weapon systems and about how we were using AI within the Department of Defense overall. And from there was a report that had been done by a Blue Ribbon Commission on National Security. And in it, they talked about the impact of artificial intelligence on the defense of our country long term and the whole of government. And most of that particular report has not yet been declassified. There is a declassified portion, but a huge amount has never been declassified, in part because of the biological risks that AI can help to promote if the wrong people get a hold of AI tools. But in that, and as a part of that discussion, something caught my attention. And that was the fact that it became clear that with the right types of investments, we literally have the ability, using artificial intelligence as an accelerator, to do some spectacular biomedical research. And in fact, to the point where, if done correctly, we could probably cure cancer in the next 5 years. Now, when you think about it in those terms, that's a quality of life thing that doesn't go away, and it's something that would impact every single family. Now, the reason why I got into it deeper then, and I know I'm going on a little bit here, but I lost my wife in November of 2021, and she died of a sarcoma cancer, and she fought it for a little over 3 years. But the reason why I share this is because in late June of that year before she passed away, I came home on a Thursday night, which many of you that know the Hills thing normally, and members, we go back home every weekend. I got in on a Thursday night late, and she was on the couch, and she says, I can't move my arm and I can't move my leg. And I said, well, why aren't you down at the emergency room? And she said, I'm waiting for you to get home. So we went down right away, and sure enough, they identified that she had 3 tumors in her brain. They were all sarcoma, and they had been developing. One of them was the size of a walnut. So as her husband, I'm thinking, this is the end. This is everything's done. And we had been treating her sarcoma at Mayo Clinic for about 2.5 years before that. We'd never had any kind of thing, any indication before that there had been a problem within her brain. We got her that night, air ambulance to Mayo Clinic. A doctor there that night did scans. The next day they said, I'm thinking, this is bad news. And the doctor came in and said, we have 3 tumors, and yes, they're in an inoperable position, but we wouldn't operate anyway. But we're going to have to make you a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to, for about 5 minutes a day for the next 3 days, put a mask on that holds you perfectly still. And then we're going to use some of our new technology in terms of, basically the radiologist was there talking about it. And he says, I'd like to do this in 3 sessions of 5 minutes a day, but it's going to take you 5 sessions, but we should be able to take care of this. And I'm looking at this saying, how in the world you're talking tumors in the brain, and what's going to happen to the rest of her? And he says, the only place that we actually do damage is to the outside of this tumor, because that's the only part of it that's living. And we go 3-dimensionally all the way around each tumor. It takes about 5 minutes. And we went through the first 3 days, and she started to be able to walk, use her hands again. We left, we came home for the 4th of July holiday. They said, come back for 2 more sessions. We came back, finished up. The tumors were gone within 30 days. That technology did not exist 2 years earlier. So, the reason why I'm interested in this, those types of opportunities exist if we invest now in the acceleration of this ability to test multiple types of radiologies or radiotherapies, or for that matter, chemotherapies, or perhaps even vaccines. The key to all this is that AI is an accelerator. And what you can do in a laboratory over a 200-year period of time, using current AI capabilities, you can do in milliseconds. Think about what that means in terms of the testing and going through back and forth. And so for me, this has been a fascinating trip of learning what AI can do when it is engaged with the proper new applications of the other parts of science. So for people that are wondering why this is so important, it's not just because of the defense of our country, it is because of the quality of life, if we do this correctly, that we can provide, not just for American citizens, but other people in the world as well.
I mean, some of the problems you're mentioning here, it does not get bigger than that. That is, if we get that right, that's everything. But we've talked about how there's also so much fear around it, right? There's a recent survey Pew did. 52% of Americans say they're more concerned than excited. Only 10% say they're more excited than concerned about possibilities. Yeah. And RAND just did a survey of K through 12 teachers, and only 18% of them are using it in the classroom. So, this stuff is developing faster than we can teach our kids how to use it. You've got 4 kids, 11 grandkids. Are they learning about it in school?
Faster than I am, I know that. No, okay, look, here's the deal though. AI is here to stay. It's not going away. Our job is to appropriately manage it and take advantage of the opportunities that it provides. And by the way, it's not just something that we can say in America, well, we're just not going to do it, because the rest of the world is also tuned into it. And in fact, we have to stay ahead of the rest of the world for our own offensive and defensive military capabilities. But when we talk about the quality of life and so forth, you're right on the Pew numbers. There's another number in there that really stuck out to me as well, and that is 62% of all Americans are really concerned about whether or not it should be involved in healthcare. We have a job to do, and part of it is to share the opportunities for what this can do in healthcare if we do it correctly. It's being incorporated right now, but people think that we're using it for a better way of billing, or they're thinking about a better way to do something behind the scenes. What they're not seeing are the direct benefits yet of what it can do on a family-by-family basis. Think about this for a second. What happens if we actually are able to incorporate the development of AI into the biomedical research on curing diabetes? Man, now you're talking not just quality of life improvements, you're talking about saving dollars and taxpayer dollars that go into Medicare and Medicaid. Right now in the United States today, if you talk about Medicare, which is for people that are over the age of 65, 2/3 of all the people that are on Medicare have 2 or more chronic illnesses. We spend 93% of our Medicare dollars treating those 2/3 of the individuals with these chronic illnesses. What happens if you can actually say the quality of life and say, let's take just one of those chronic illnesses and go right after it and either delay its onset, or eliminate it entirely? What does that do for the quality of life for that individual and for their family? But second of all, what does it do for helping us to actually reduce the costs of health care while maintaining a higher quality of life? These are things that, with using the acceleration of AI, I believe that we can achieve. Are there going to be things that we're going to have to do to assure people that there is safety? Absolutely. And don't run away from it. Take it as a challenge. This new generation of young people coming in, they get that. But they can't let the opportunities go by because they're afraid to tackle it. Can you imagine if we never would have tackled the issue of atomic power and what this world would be like if we did not have atomic power today? Can you imagine if the guys who created the small little phone that everybody carries around right now had been afraid of people being able to be tracked with it and decided that they wouldn't go the next step of providing everybody with an opportunity to have that kind of communications and that kind of connectivity? So my message is we can deal with this, but we've got to take it one step at a time, but it is not going away.
And, you know, we keep it short and sweet at Axios, so you don't have all the time for this question. It's a big one.
Right.
But I'd love to ask you, when we're talking on stage right now and when we were talking before, you always say, you know, the thing that you're excited about, and you always say, if we get this right. What does get this right mean to you? What does government play in that?
I believe it means, number one, that you provide the right types of incentives to continue the development and the operation of artificial intelligence here in the United States, to keep the fastest chip development here, to have the smartest individuals want to be here in the United States, to keep them here. And then the other piece of it is, let's lay out the guidelines for what the industry believes is the right way to regulate lightly the development of AI. And the simplest way that I can put it is this. If you're trying to do something which is legal to do today and you want to use AI to further accelerate it, it's probably going to be okay to use AI. On the other hand, if you're trying to do something which would have been illegal today without AI, using AI is not going to make it legal. If you want to go around a copyright, copyrights are important, patents are important. And if we want to continue to develop those, we've got to figure out the appropriate way to allow for AI applications to use copyrighted material, but we've also got to protect the interests of those individuals that have produced that, or they won't produce any more of these new and unique ideas.
We like to end every Axios interview with one fun thing. One of your first encounters with technology did not go as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
She's talking about my keyboard skills. When I first started, you know, look, I come from that age where we still use one of these things here instead of a lavalier and so forth. If you look at me, I use, you know, a piece of paper like this to keep my notes rather than on an iPad. One of my first things is in keyboarding skills, I wanted to learn how to type when I was a sophomore in high school. That didn't turn out well. I got a D in typing, but I did get to 30 words a minute with 3 errors. That was my high point. And so as a person who does not have keyboard skills, I was really happy when you started to be able to dictate things with a cell phone. I'm getting better at that all the time.
Well, I am 30 years old and I type with 2 fingers, so it's a safe space. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have. Thank you so much, Senator Rounds, for joining us on stage at Axios.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put that right there.